The Trumpanyahu administration is already sabotaging the ceasefire. I don't know who first coined the saying that an Israeli ceasefire means you cease and we fire, but it proves reliably accurate time after time. The IDF reportedly killed 9 Palestinians trying to return to their homes today, under the usual justification that they were traveling in some kind of unauthorized area in ways that made the troops feel threatened, blah blah. They did this all the time during the previous ceasefire at the beginning of the year, using the exact same excuses. Just as we speculated the other day might happen, Israel has announced that it is going to cut the aid it allows into Gaza in half and cut off fuel and gas shipments because Hamas hasn't returned the bodies of all the dead Israeli hostages. Israel was fully aware when it signed the agreement that Hamas would not be able to deliver the bodies of all the hostages right away due to the rubble and chaos caused by the Israeli bombing campaign in Gaza. On October 9th, CNN published an article titled, "Israel Assesses Hamas May Not Be Able to Return All Remaining Dead Hostages," which reported that the Israeli government is aware that Hamas may not know the location of or is unable to retrieve the remains of some of the 28 remaining deceased hostages. The Red Cross says that finding all the bodies of the hostages will be a massive challenge in all the rubble created by Israeli airstrikes in the areas where hostages were being kept. Dropsite News' Jeremy Scahill explains that during Gaza negotiations, Israel understood it would take time to recover all bodies of deceased captives. A specific mechanism for recovering the bodies was agreed. Now Israel's pretending that didn't happen so it can violate the deal and cut the agreed aid shipments in half. Mondoweiss reported last week that Hebrew-language Israeli media had been saying that a secret clause in the ceasefire agreement would allow Israel to resume its onslaught if the bodies of the dead hostages were not returned within a 72-hour window. So it looks like this was planned from the beginning. Create obligations that Israel knew Hamas would be unable to fulfill, and then use it as an excuse to resume the slaughter. And President Trump appears to be going right along with it, posting on Truth Social that a big burden has been lifted, but the job is not done. The dead have not been returned as promised. Trump told the press on Tuesday, "We were told they had 24 dead hostages, and it seems they don't have that because we're talking a much lesser number. I want them back." Trump also told the press that Hamas is going to be forcefully disarmed, which amounts to an open admission that this entire ceasefire show is a sham. Trump said on Tuesday, "If they don't disarm, we will disarm them, and it will happen quickly and perhaps violently." This statement matches recent comments from Benjamin Netanyahu, saying that Hamas will be disarmed the easy way or the hard way. The president and prime minister are making it clear that in order for the ceasefire negotiations to proceed to a lasting peace, Hamas is going to have to completely surrender, and Israel is going to have to be handed total victory. They're branding it as a ceasefire deal when it's actually a total surrender deal, and Hamas has made it explicitly clear that it is not surrendering. As Dropsite News explains, in reality, senior Hamas, Islamic Jihad, and figures from the other resistance factions have repeatedly rejected disarmament throughout negotiations, including in multiple interviews with Dropsite over the past year. A big part of the confusion around the ceasefire in public discourse today is that there are 2 contradictory ideas going around about what the ceasefire is and what it means. Israel supporters think ceasefire means total victory and complete surrender by Hamas, while everyone else thinks ceasefire means ceasefire. That's why you see Israel supporters celebrating the deal, while Palestine supporters are much more apprehensive. Palestine supporters understand that a ceasefire and a surrender are 2 different things, and see Trump and Netanyahu stating that Hamas is going to have to completely disarm if ceasefire negotiations are going to move toward a lasting peace. They understand that the unyielding, mutually exclusive positions of the Trumpanyahu administration and of Hamas are likely to come to a head in ways that result in the reignition of the Gaza Holocaust. So for all the applause and fuss that has been made about the ceasefire, As things stand right now, it doesn't look like much has changed. From the very beginning of this genocide, it has been the officially stated position of the U.S. and Israel that the killing will not end until Hamas lays down its arms and surrenders, and that is still their position today. There is a much-needed pause in the slaughter, sure, but the Trumpanyahu team is making it explicitly clear that it is going to ramp up again under the justification of Hamas refusing to disarm. And that's assuming negotiations even make it that far. Israel is already doing everything it can to sabotage the ceasefire by murdering Palestinians and greatly reducing the amount of aid it promised. Unless something significant changes about all this fairly soon, even this feeble reduction in Israel's Gaza atrocities cannot be expected to hold.